JT, are you robbing a bank? What's going on? We're not paying you enough. What?
Yeah. Well, sort of. I'm on the other end of that equation. I'm actually in a jail. So if it didn't go very well, I did try to rob a bank last night in Adelaide and got caught. No, I'm actually in the old Adelaide Gaol. This is a fantastic building. It's actually Australia's oldest continual running jail. Well, that was until 1988 when they closed it up. But from 1841, for 147 years, this was in operation. And you can do some very entertaining historical tours. They're not just historical tours. You can do entertaining historical tours of the jail here in Adelaide. It is a fascinating place. Now, let's have a look around Australia at the weather. Interesting historical facts, but this jail is in fact apparently haunted. Yep, apparently there are ghosts that trawl these cells. But I've got to tell you, I'm not really that concerned because we've been here for an hour or so and... I wasn't that concerned. And now I'm a little bit concerned, but I'm sure that there's an explanation.
It's called fishing line.
Yeah. That's going to be entertaining.
Simon, I've spoiled it.
I'll be back in half an hour, okay? I'll be back soon.
Bye-bye, JT. Don't let the souls of the tormented eat you. That was his own fault, really, for showing us those magic tricks last week.
That's right.
You're on top of it.
I think he was in the prison to hide. James is in prison.
Oh, touche, yes. Well, I am in a prison. I mean, this one of the two oldest buildings in South Australia, the Government House and the old Adelaide Gaol. It is fascinating. It's also apparently haunted. There have apparently been... Well, there's been paranormal activity. Some people have seen things, some people have just heard things, some people have felt things. It does feel a little bit spooky in here. If you come through, this is the old hanging room. I don't know whether we're allowed to talk about hanging rooms on breakfast television.
They were hanging
back in the day. This is where they used to hang people. I tell you what, being in a jail makes you feel like you never want to be in one again. Let's have a look at the weather.
Weekend sunrise.
I'd like to say I'm completely sceptical about paranormal activity, but already this morning we've had a chair just sort of start to move without any sort of form of reason or explanation. And whoa! Whoa! Come back! I've got it! I've got it! I've got it! Oh. Sorry, Shiny. Sorry, mate.
Excellent. I can say this is a TV series.
This is great, yeah. Fantastic.
Going to catch on, definitely.
Do you think that's paranormal? When Simon showed up here this morning, he looked like a corpse. And look at him now.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Transformation.
Hi, Ben. What are you up to now? You're out of the tunnel?
Well, I'm going to put my bid in for Anna de Bruin. Was it Anna de Bruin?
Oh,
the amazing Dutch swimmer?
Yeah, very good.
Yes.
What, to be on the team, or you're just putting a bid in for Anna de Bruin generally?
Inga de Bruin, wasn't it?
Inga de Bruin. Yeah, Inga de Bruin.
Yeah. If you're watching, I'm having a fascinating morning, moving on from beautiful swimmers to jails. At the Adelaide Gaol this morning, it's a place that for 147 years housed prisoners. Around 300,000 inmates were here for the 147 years, yes, 147 years. And now it's not really a jail anymore. You can come and visit it for historical purposes, one of the oldest buildings in South Australia, or you can come to find out about the paranormal activity that occurs here. Now, one of the volunteer ghost guides and a paranormal researcher is Alison O'Bourne. Thank you for getting up so early this morning.
I've been up since 2 o'clock.
I know, researching.
Researching in here before you came.
Yes, now I'm fascinated by this. What were you doing this morning?
We were just sitting in here monitoring, because this is reportedly one of the most active buildings in the jail, so we're just seeing if we could catch anything paranormal happening, basically.
Do you know when paranormal activity was first found here? Why did at some point they must have realised we need to start researching here?
Well, what happened was we found guards who used to work here. I've actually interviewed some of them. You can read the interviews up on the website. And they, even back then when they were working, were reporting that they had strange incidents happening in here. So it was even known then that there was a problem with this particular block especially. So.
And when people come and do a tour here, how often do they actually experience something?
Oh, look, we can't promise a ghost, and if it was happening all the time, it wouldn't be paranormal, it would be normal. So we do get things happening on tours. Every now and again we'll get reports. I've had a fair number of things happen that have been unusual, that were hard to explain.
Well, I want to speak about that in just a moment, but first, the weather. Now, these very stairs behind me, well, this is the scene of one of the most famous paranormal activity readings in this jail. I'm going to speak to Alison about that a little bit later on this morning because we're out of time. See you in half hour.
Thank you, JT.
Yeah,
Sometimes I think...
A bunch of emails from prisoners all around the country who would love you to come and visit them. I've actually forwarded your personal details to them, so...
Thanks, Simon. I like how we look out for each other in this show.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
I'm
Thank
trying to
you.
help you.
Look, I have another idea. If you're in South Australia, it is school holidays. If you've got some kids, bring them to the jail for a tour. There is the whole ghost side of it, which we've covered extensively this morning, but there's also heaps of historical facts here. It's fascinating. It's an interesting historical tour that you can do here, and they're open pretty much every day. So maybe you can just explain to the kids if they don't eat their crust and do their homework and clean their room, they might end up in a place like this. Simon, maybe you can send their details as well.
Oh, I use that one all the time, mate. Don't worry about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bob Lumsden, beg your pardon, Bob, one of the guides here. Now, we've spoken heaps about the ghosts this morning, but that's a small aspect of the jail, isn't it?
That's only a small... This is part of our history of South Australia, dating back to 1841 when they started to build the jail. The white building behind us was original 8-person cell, dating back to 1841, where from those downpipes to halfway through the 2 windows, 8 people lived in there. And if you think that's going to be great, it's not, because you had no toilets in the cell. You had buckets to use for a toilet.
Reminds me of the sunrise change rooms downstairs. Tell me about the jail, because throughout the entire school holidays, it's open. Why should parents bring their kids here?
Because it's part of our history. It's some of the oldest government building in the state, dating from 1841. The last major construction was 1880. There was something like 50 people hung in and around the jail as part of our gory history. I won't go into too much of that. Only one of those is a woman, so where's the equality in that? It was originally it's a low security jail, really only built for felons and debtors in the good old days. If you were committed some major crime, we sent you to be a convict down in Tasmania until they built Yatta in about 1853.
All right, well, I'm going to leave you on your own with that woman comment, and I'm going to throw back to you guys. And Simon, if you could clean my bucket out this morning, that'd be great. Thanks.
I'll do the slopping, for sure.
Oh, let's not go into it. There are people eating breakfast.
Cornflakes have been consumed here.
Sorry.
Come on.
I think we should get Mel Gibson back down to there and hang him by his, in the middle of the courtyard, don't you think? That'd be great.
Don't you love working on the weekend now with us?
Sorry, James, yeah, that's
James,
right.
where are you going? Where are you?
JT.
Hello?
I'll tell you what, it scares me to think what an O'Keefe would do to a swan. It's been a pretty scary morning in general, really. Scary, because here at the jail, the old Adelaide Jail, there are ghosts and paranormal activities, apparently. Scary also just being around a jail, and the scary thought of actually ever having to spend some time in one, because these cells behind me house inmates up until 1988. For 147 years, this jail was in operation. I'm going to take you behind the door after the weather. This is it. There's not much to it. 8 feet by 10 feet. Come on in. I'll let you go in first because otherwise we're not going to fit in here. Tiny little cells. If you notice, no running water, no electricity. Well, there was electricity, but it was powered by the warden. So the lights were turned out very early. The inmates had to spend between 4:30 in the afternoon and 8:30 at night in their cells, and then again from 11:45 until 2 p.m. for lunch. So there's a lot of time spent in here on your own, no toilet either. They had a bucket for years and years and years and years, and then for about the last 10 years, from about 78 or so, they had one of these porta potties. They'd get cleaned out once a day, if you had a bit of dysentery or the runs, you had to live with it. There's only, I know, I shouldn't say it on breakfast telly, should I? I'm sorry to anyone eating their breakfast, especially if they're having Cocoa Pops.
Yucky topic.
And really not much ventilation. So look, it's a fascinating tour. It's a fascinating place. If you're looking for something for school
and it's a 40-degree day in Adelaide,
Okay, thanks for the picture.
I checked that guy's breathing, by the way, JT. He's looking unwell, that fella behind you.
I'd love to show you what he's reading, but I can't. He's reading a nudie magazine. There's another reason to come and if you're a school kid for a tour, you get to see boobs.
James, I think you should be running these tours. You give a whole new element.
Interesting paranormal
Yes,
tours.
indeed.
Yeah. Thank you.
Abnormal tours. I don't know if they're paranormal, they're just abnormal. Okay, thank you, JT. Now, to the man who claims...
Morning, James Tobin has been jailed in Adelaide.
Actually, I made it out. I've broken free. I'm outside the front gate. There's the front gate. I was going to show you that second, but I'm going to show you that now to prove that I'm out. Up the top there, it's actually, you'd think it would be in Latin, but it's actually in French. It says, God and my right. I'd imagine that's what the Dutch are going to be saying tonight, and the Spanish. They both probably think God's going to help them win. Well, we'll find out. I'm going for the Dutch. And over there is the, they've planned to build 5 towers. In fact, they only got through 1.5, and then bankrupt the entire state of South Australia. Whoops. Let's have a look at the weather.